And we are back. It is week 3 of MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance. Tim Wood. We got the crew back together. We got the crew. It's Hector. It's Bill. It's Tim. Hector's got the.
You had Hector with the Rolls last week. Admit it. I know numbers showed up, thankfully, without me, but you guys definitely had Hector with the Rolls.
I saw you texting. I'm like, he's at Gillette. He's texting about MVC Gridiron Weekly. And you came back. You came back with the haircut. You came back with the yearly haircut.
Yeah, they wouldn't allow me in the Foxborough press box with the mop I was sporting. So twice a year we shave the whole thing off and go from there. I'm that cheap, so that's all. We cut it. We mowed it. I disappointed the guy. He wanted to do all kinds of styling. He said, just mow the thing with a number 2 and let's get to work. So I am back.
Hector, you were in fact at the Patriots. It wasn't Foxborough Pop Warner.
No.
You want to give a shout out to the barber?
I think I said the only cookie eating record to prove it, Bill. So they put a plaque up in the press box for me.
Nice. Congrats on that. All right, so obviously another, the MVC doesn't disappoint. We had another big week of football, some great matchups. Some teams staying undefeated with Methuen with a great comeback victory against Lowell. Central Catholic pulls out the win against North Andover. Billerica gets back on the winning front. Andover has another big week. What's your first thoughts as you kind of scan through the action this week, Hector?
This sprint to 7 games has created a little bit of a weekly desperation for teams, looking to pile up wins. I know there were complaints early about the 7 games, sprint before the playoffs. This has been one of the positives. Every game seems to, every week, teams have a little bit of desperation and a purpose, so it's made for better football, I think.
Bill,
that's a great point. It's almost a little playoff, like almost this is the game that's going to get you into the playoffs. Hector, I think that's a great point.
Yeah, just seems to be that way. And teams, when Central Catholic is playing Springfield Central, St. John's, North Andover for their 3 non-divisional games, they're not wasting any time. They're playing real teams. This is not let's find a cupcake and beat the daylights out of them. They're playing real games. A lot of teams are taking that that approach now, and I think it makes for good football early in the year.
Bill, you were out at Methuen Lowell yesterday, and just a big comeback for the Rangers. What was the atmosphere out there like?
I think Lowell did what they set out to do. I don't care who's picking who. Lowell shows up each week, and they're a tough matchup. They've got a bunch of athletes. They got some big kids in the front line. Talking to their coach, I know they're young, but boy, they can play. And it was a defensive game, and they had a nice run. Brendan Ty, I spoke to him after the game real briefly. He is a big time player. He made some catches yesterday that just stood out. Were not your typical high school, diving 35 yards out, catching in traffic, making the catch, playing both sides of the ball. I think at the end of the game, I'm not calling Lowell out for not being conditioned, but with the heat and multiple kids going both ways, towards the end of the game, if you watch some of the clips, there was a lot of kids in Lowell holding their knees, and I think that definitely paid off for Methuen, because that last quarter they were able to drive down a couple of times and score. And I know we've talked about Anthony Romano, but that is a kid you're going to continue to hear from. Junior, he is a legit player. Made a fourth and I think it was 13 or 10, I don't remember. Huge catch, had a touchdown in the first quarter to tie it up. Plays, both ways, and is just an absolute stud.
I'm loving this. I'm loving the defensive the focus on defense. I mean, you got two guys, and again, you got plenty of guys, but there's two guys that are really standing out with Romano and Slayton so far from Andover. We had Slayton on last week. We're gonna have Josh Ramos on a little later from Andover. I got feeling he's gonna talk up his boy there, but. Hector, it's fun. It's fun to be talking a little bit more defense, right?
Well, it's interesting. I tried to figure out what the Rangers were doing defensively and how they were playing. They've given up 14 points in each of their first 3 games, so even I know that's 14 points a game they're averaging.
That's good math right there.
Yes, that one I got right. Look. Maybe teams have caught up a little bit here with the wide open nature and how to defend it. You see a little bit more. They play defenses getting receivers' faces a little bit more. And honestly, Bill, I haven't seen Methuen yet, and I'm not sure of their scheme, but you see a lot more kids just playing real football, man-to-man type football now. I think coaches have realized they have to do that kind of thing a little bit more, and they're getting rewarded for trusting their kids. Kids are making plays defensively. Kids are standing out. Yeah, you get beat once in a while, but I think coaches are trusting their kids a little bit more.
Hector, I swear, if you go to some of these other games, these fans are killing the coaches for doing exactly what you have said, and I don't open my mouth because they have to do that. And there's a name this week for the Methuen-Lowell game, Ben Cadet. Ben's been a 2-year starter. The kid has been groomed by that coaching staff to be a legit corner. He had, I don't remember anyone from Malden Catholic, but Alward and now Brendan Ty. Brendan had a great game, but Ben Cadet at corner for Methuen has been tremendous. Had a great, diving tackle, knocked the ball.
Don't give it all away, Bill. We're going to talk Methuen. We're going to talk Methuen a little later.
But I tell you, you're spot on as far as these coaches teaching these kids, and they're legit on an island all on their own against some legit receivers. So Ben's somebody that you're going to continue as, Central when he's going against Donadio or these other guys. He's going to get legit receivers, and he's holding his own. But you're spot on about the defenses and what these coaches are doing and how much they're trusting their defensive backs.
It's good to hear. It's good to hear that Ty's back in terms of just the explosiveness. The injury, a little bit coming back, but it's good to hear from you just seeing it in person that he's back. And
that was both sides of the ball too. He was playing in the defensive backfield yesterday as well, and coming up with some huge hits and huge stops. So he's back. Definitely needs to get his wind a little bit. I think he was tied towards the end of the game, but Lowell is going to be in it each and every week.
Hector? What do you make in terms where does North Andover fit into this? And because I've seen Andover play. I am so impressed with them thus far, and they got so many weapons. I mean, where does North Andover fit into this mix right now?
That's a great question, Tim, simply because I'm not sure if we really, look, you could have come to me in early on the North Andover's back in the pack, or back below the pack. There's no way that the loss of Gabe, Jake, and Darren Watson weren't going to send them back spiraling into the pack. And they so far early, it's tough to argue or complain about the way they've played. Pushing a Central Catholic to the wire this week, and picking up the big win in week 2. I just think that maybe they needed a couple weeks to get under their belt, and now they're ready to go. I mean, they played Central tough on Saturday. They just a one-score game. So you just wonder, maybe as the league approaches, are they better than we thought? At least I know they're better than I thought. I was probably one of the guys who was a little bit lower. But
well, and we needed to see what Schimler was going to look like in terms of quarterback, and he's putting up yeoman numbers. It's not phenomenal, but he's putting up decent numbers so far. And Freddie Gaben's been there, so. And they've got a big game next week against Tewksbury, and we'll talk more about that later. But I mean, Tewksbury had a nice comeback in terms of against BC High this week.
Is that too straight for them against BC High now?
It is. It is.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, another team. You said you lost your quarterback, you lost some players from a team that went to Foxborough last year. Where were they going to be? Obviously, Shane Elwood is a horse, and as good as it gets in this league. And, maybe these guys are around playing catch-up, but, he makes them a legitimate force every time they play them. You saw them 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, no. And you know what? You're talking about Tewksbury and North Andover. Their coaching staff are stacked. Look at North Andover. They got like 3 former head coaches. And I think they have the players. I think right now, from what I read in Central, it was like a bad punt, interception for pick 6. I think it's these little mistakes that we're talking about that early in the season can win or lose you a game. But these coaches aren't going to stop coaching and doing their thing and get these kids ready to go. And I think that's where that 7-game race to the playoffs makes it so much harder because you can't really afford to have a 2-week, a struggle because it really does impact your future. But I think both these teams are legit.
I don't want to mean the league race here.
No, not at all.
Because we talk about playoffs, and how important it is for these guys to win league titles.
Sure.
It still is. That's part of the beauty of this league. Is the league definitely matters. It's not all about winning the North, the playoffs. So North Andover's got their 4-game sprint coming up with Tewksbury at Chelmsford, Dracut, and Billerica, and so that's like where their coaching staff is focused on. Let's get after these 4 games. They're going to make the playoffs. It's about where the seeding is going to be. But so you got to figure that the first 3 games while probing and testing are all set up to be okay. Now we got to get after Tewksbury on Saturday.
And am I trying to make something that's not here, or do even the second tier, even the below tier in terms of maybe not in the race? I feel like Lowell, Lawrence, Billerica, even Chelmsford, Dracut, obviously. I feel like Chelmsford, Lawrence, Lowell, any one of those teams, I feel like all of those programs are elevating. So there's no gimme on this schedule like there maybe has been in years past.
No, you're right. Just look at the Dracut Chelmsford score. It was 14-12 at half.
Yep.
In the past, and not to diminish Chelmsford, but they just haven't really been in any games. And now what's happening is they're coming ready to fight. And they had a rough second half, some turnovers, and Dracut ends up pulling away. But Lawrence putting up 28 against Andover. These teams that have been struggling are legit, and you have to show up each week.
I really want to get Carmine on to talk about Dracut, to talk about Lowell a little bit more. He sees, he's from Lowell's son. He is. Where do we put him on the Hector Longo scale, Hector? I mean, is he as much of a legend as you, or?
I'm a legend in my own mind. He's that now. Look, I don't go legend status with any of us, but I go veteran status. He knows his stuff.
Oh, yeah.
A guy who knows everything and anything there is to know about those 5-area low area schools in the Merrimack Valley. He's been through the Merrimack Valley Wars. So, yeah, he'd be great to talk to about Dracut because, again, you guys know what Dracut is. It's on its own little island over there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so, like, again, with them making noise, it's terrific to see.
There were a lot of questions there. New coach. And they're impressive so far. It's not just they're not just winning. They're dominating.
Yeah, no, it's again, they're they're an upper echelon team all of a sudden. I don't think did anybody think that coming in? You wonder. I don't think they did. And so, I heard the conversation with their coach, and it's Jordan, right? This is
yep.
And he seems to have that in town, we're here mentality. I'm here, been here, done this, and it means so much to me. Mentality, which is kind of a first step in a place like that, and the attitude's great, so terrific. This is it's really good to see. When the break is good, then the league is better.
Yeah,
absolutely. I know I've said that before and probably repeated it 100 times, but it's just a fact.
Absolutely.
It legitimizes the league as what we all know it is, a really tough league week in and week out.
And we will have Kyle Silva, the surprise here, one of the surprise heroes for Dracut. We'll have him on the show a little later to talk about the middies. Let's give you a little lineup in terms of what we got for you. We got a lot of clips. We've got interviews from Methuen, from the Methuen win. We've got we focused on coaches last week. This week we're all players. I mentioned Silva. We're gonna have BB, Josh Ramos from Andover on another huge week, and another appearance on the MVC MVP poll this week. Vote there on Twitter. The poll is up now, and I tell you what, this is why I want to make this where the fan vote is 25%, and then each one of our votes counts, because Josh Ramos isn't getting enough fan love so far. I mean, he was like 5% last week. He's 6% this week so far. So I don't know. I might be going against the audience this week, but so we got Ramos on. We got Mark Kassis coming from Central Catholic. So we'll take a quick break here. We'll reset. We'll come back. We'll talk Methuen Lowell a little bit more in depth. We'll talk Central Catholic North Andover a little bit more in depth, and we'll punch up. We'll get Mark Kassis on the line. We'll do that right after the break here on MVC Gridirion Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance. All right, I want to tell you about Davila and DeFusco Insurance, our presenting sponsor here on MVC Gridiron Weekly. It's a dream to own your own business, and Val and Susan Davila have made that a reality since February 2013. They started with just 2 insurance carriers, but now Right in Place Insurance for Progressive, Safeco, Pilgrim, Plymouth Rock, and Mapfreight, just to name a few. You need auto insurance, renters, commercial, or home insurance? Davila and DeFusco prides itself in having lifelong roots in the Merrimack Valley. Put their experience to work for you. Visit them in person at 225 Broadway in Methuen, or call 978-241-7950 for a free quote, and visit them anytime at daviladefusco.com. Hey, I want to tell you about Jen Hamilton, the realtor for Keller Williams Realty. She's licensed in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, and she's a big supporter of all things local, especially youth sports. She's a big backer for Central Catholic and Methuen athletics, but she's a household name around the Merrimack Valley. Hey, the autumn market is in full swing. If you are thinking of selling, now is the time. Inventory is an all-time low, making this a seller's market. In a seller's market, there's a greater chance for a bidding war on your home. So put Jen Hamilton's 33-plus years of experience to work for you today by calling for a free, no-obligation market analysis of your home. Call Jen at 508-954-7941. A huge supporter of youth athletics. Listen, her record speaks for itself. She's one of the top sellers in the region for Keller Williams Realty. Hamilton is a household word. Call her at 508-954-7941. Big shout out to the folks at AFC Urgent Care, Lisa Williams and her team over there. AFC Urgent Care, the right care right now. You'll never need an appointment. Got that persistent cough and cold, that cut that needs a few stitching, or need a sports physical and don't want to wait weeks to get into your primary doctor? AFC's streamlined approach helps you be seen quickly and feel better fast. In Methuen, in the Merrimack Street Medical Professionals Building, 380R Merrimack Street, in North Andover as well, in the Burton Grill Plaza, 8 to 8 Monday to Friday, 8 to 5 Saturday and Sunday. Go to afcurgentcare.com for more details. Tim Wood, Bill Bryant, Hector Longo, and you back on here on MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance. All right, guys. So first game we're talking about this week, Methuen and Lowell. Now, I mean, I remember the back-to-back games at the end of the season a couple of years ago, Bill. So Lowell coming into Methuen is always going to play it tough, and this was no different.
No, Tim, it wasn't at all. Every facet of the game, there was suspense in the kicking game. Defensively, both teams really stepped up, and then each side had a nice offensive run. And Coleman and Bryant and Bergeron stepped up. Najai Neal and Brendan Ty and a couple other kids for Lowell, had their brief moments of just strong offensive play, but it was definitely a defensive battle all game.
Anthony Romano, an amazing fourth down catch to keep the winning drive alive. Also had a fumble recovery touchdown. Ben Cadet, you mentioned him earlier, Bill, TD saving tackle. I mean, that's got to be an early candidate for MVC Hustle Play of the Year. I mean tell us about that play alone, where he saves the touchdown, strips the football, and that ends up to being a Rangers touchback.
So as a former high level Pop Warner coach, Tim, in football, he wasn't even really part of the play. As a defensive coach, to see the angle he took, he wasn't trying to tackle him at the point of initial impact. He was racing down the field to beat him before he scored, dove out, whacked the ball out of his hand, and then it was 4 or 5 guys trying to jump on it, and it finally went out of the back of the end zone, which led to a touchback. I don't think people realized. I think they all thought it was a TD for Lowell, even the announcer. It got real confusing, but Ben definitely saved that game with that play.
So punching up the Romano fumble recovery here for the touchdown. So there's one play on Romano, big play there. Now we're looking at the fourth down catch. Bill, tell us about how that fourth down came about here.
No, the linebackers and the DBs for Lowell was really coming up strong and stopping the run. The outside was where Methuen started to get their drive going, and the defense came up well. Methuen was hampered kind of all day with little 5-yard penalties here. A 4th and long came up. Coaches called the right play. Romano got himself open. There was a little thing in there about a bad pass. I'm going to disagree with that. You can see by the video.
I'm watching it. It was saying in the Eagle Tribune that it was kind of thrown behind it. That was a pretty good pass.
You got to show up to the game to make a comment about whether the pass was bad or not. Now, there was about 10 passes during the game that were well overthrown. That I'm not taking away. He had a rough day throwing the ball. On this play, he put it up over the DB. Romano jumped up, grabbed it, first down, and Methuen's life as far as that team came back and obviously marched down the field and did their thing. Coleman again, though, just that kid is all over the field.
Now,
I know.
Before we let you go on this play, Hector, how do you rate that in terms of protective dad versus honest analysis?
I've learned to know over the years that the newspaper guy is always right in this situation.
Yeah.
The parent is always wrong. The newspaper guy is always right, Bill. So
watch the
but
play.
I have to ask. Okay, we're only 3 weeks in, Bill. 3 wins. But one of them is over Tewksbury, and another one yesterday. Do you start to feel that this is the year kind of thing with Methuen, the momentum gathering? You're close enough to know Is it the something special in there? Is that are we looking at that?
I don't know. That's a tough question to ask. I mean, Andover is going to be no joke, and we heard Central. I mean, to lose Mercurio and Hebert and Tim, I appreciate what you said earlier about next guy up. They have that depth. Methuen's got a couple of kids injured, and that does take a team, like a Methuen that doesn't have that strong depth. But it has been fun. 3-0 is much better than 1-2 or 2-1. But they've got a good core groups of kids that have been playing together for a lot of years, and Haverhill's going to be, they're struggling, but they're going to be no joke. But the Andover Central games, I think, Hector, at that point, depending on how those games are decided, I think then you could start to say, okay, wow, they are putting something together that's special.
All right, so we got the game-winning touchdown run here, Bill. Tell us just about, touchdowns weren't coming easy for the Rangers against this team. Tell us how that play shaped up.
A couple of things. I mean, obviously, you need to make the right play call. But if you notice, the blocking on the wide receivers to make that alleyway is huge. And that's one of the things, Hector, you're talking about. Do the little things. There's kids blocking downfield to Methuen. I think in the past they were giving up on plays and not having the ability to that next level higher thinking. And you're going to see in this play that a couple of kids made some great blocks, and then the quarterback almost got tackled and kept his feet and kept going, which is huge. But I think the thing that's impressing me is all these kids, the way they're blocking. That whole line is brand new, and that's why I have a hard time saying state playoffs and things like that when you have 5 guys on the line that are brand new, but their on-the-job training has been huge. All
right, we got Leslie Theodore, post-game interview, big O lineman for the Rangers here.
All right, we're here with Leslie Theodore. Leslie, talk to us about that win.
It was crazy. We're down at the Ave. Our defense kept pushing. Anthony Romano, Junior Gellin, Michael Palmer. We kept pushing. We know at some point in the game, we would get our flow back, just like last year. We had plenty of tremendous fourth-quarter comebacks, and we proved that today.
Nice. Obviously, offensive line, right? Lowell's big, they're strong, they're fast. Talk to us about how nice of a job the offensive line did today.
Well, I just want to give credit to Lowell. They played a great game. They played hard. And it took us till halftime to talk some things out. And we came out here, Junior Gellin, Sam Kalivas, Jordan Duran, Chris Lorenza. No more penalties. We came out and we did our thing. Marched down the field twice to seal the game. Proud of those guys.
Awesome. What's next for you guys? Next week?
Next week
at Haverhill.
At Haverhill.
Right. So what's Coach Ryan's? What's he gonna be? What's he gonna be preaching this week?
He's gonna preach the same thing he preached last week. Dangers of complacency, being comfortable where you are. We're not comfortable. Obviously, we could have put numbers on the board, but we didn't. We have a lot of things to fix up and come out here and put on a show.
Awesome. Great job. All right, we're here with Coach Tom Ryan. Tom, last night you said this would be just a battle of 2 tough MVC teams. You want to talk about what the difference was for us today?
In the fourth quarter, we finally took control of the line of scrimmage. That was in doubt most of the game, but we did what we had to do, and now ultimately at the very end of the game, we could grind. But hats off to Lowell. What a well-coached game. We know we came out of there fortunate with the win, very fortunate. So hats off to Lowell.
Talk about some of the guys that stood out for you today in this come from behind win.
Obviously, Anthony Romano continues to do some great things, but he'll tell you he made some mistakes. And honestly, that the story has to be the line at our offensive line at the end in the fourth quarter. Our last 2 drives made a statement that they were not going to let us lose, and that's ultimately won us the game. Connor didn't have his best game, but he came up big at the end when we needed him. So that's really the story of the game, and we're going to have to fix a lot of things. There's a lot of film to watch and see where we can get better, and I know we get Haverhill next, and they've been a big challenge for us in the last 5, 6, 7 years. We've taken some beatings from them, so we need to, in the last 2 years we've had some epic games against them, so we need to buckle up and regroup and play better.
Nice. Tom, it seems like we have a lot of these close games the last few years. What's the difference with this team? What have you done to really just? It seems like every close game, we seem to get, finish on top. What do you preach to these guys? What is it that kind of you feel gets us over the hump?
I don't know. We say a lot of things. We have a theme of the week, and but a lot of our themes we talk about definitely like win the next thing you can win, and you see with our guys, it's a bad play happens, well, the next play's an opportunity to succeed, and they don't try to hang their heads, and that's a big mantra we have. We have there's a missed tackle by a defensive back. He gets up, runs down the sideline, punches the ball out, it becomes a touchback. So instead of a horrifically loss for us, turned into an unbelievable positive, and our offense gets the ball, and that was Ben Cadet. So that was an impressive play that happened 2 years ago to a very similar. Wes Carrera did it 2 years ago, very similar. Makes a mistake but doesn't give up, punches the ball out. Good things happen. So hats off to Benny and the rest of our guys for not quitting, and we came out on top.
Awesome, great job.
So it's an interesting comment from Ryan there. I remember that West Korea play, Bill.
Yep.
Just all-out effort, gutty. All right, so that's the story in terms of Methuen, Central Catholic, North Andover. Aiden Pereira, 7 for 14, 147 passing yards, touchdown pass, 64 rushing yards, 3 TD runs. We mentioned Nick Donadio, 4 catches, 104 yards, 73-yard touchdown reception. Freddie Gavin from North Andover, 22 carries, 92 yards, and a touchdown run. Mark Kassis, 15 carries, 97 yards, and a touchdown run. And Will Schimler, 131 passing yards for North Andover. Any final thoughts just in terms of that matchup, guys?
On that game, look, I can't say more enough, Tim, about how impressed I am with North Andover's recovery here, rebounding. Excuse me, from last year's losses. That bodes well for things on that side of the competition in the West plus North Andover division. I think it's a great thing that team has rebounded. Who mentioned their staff? Bill, you mentioned their coaching staff. That definitely means a lot here. It just does. You can see it with that team.
And we've got on the line with us Mark Kassis. We mentioned 15 carries, 97 yards, and a touchdown. Let's talk to him now. And on the line with us, really pleased and thankful to have on the line with us Mark Kassis from Central Catholic. Mark, Tim Wood, Bill Bryant, Hector Longo here on MVC Gridiron Weekly. Really appreciate you getting back on the line with us. We had some issues week one. We wanted to get you back on so people could actually hear you.
I know. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. So, a big win for you guys yesterday over North Andover. What's the first thing that you want to get out there in terms of the game and your thoughts there?
We had a lot of people step up yesterday. We had two serious injuries, and J.J. McCurry and Nate Hebert. So, those are two. As big as a loss as you can get. Those are two players who really stepped up for us big this year. But you hate to see them go down. But we had some players step up yesterday. Michael Finneran and Nick Palmer stepped up in their positions, and they did a good job helping the defense and picking us up when we needed them.
In terms of just the flow of the game there, Mark, what stuck out to you in terms of where you guys truly started to deliver that win?
I thought the offensive line did a really good job of opening up the run game early on in the game. We knew North Andover was going to be a good game. It was going to be a dogfight from the start. The offensive line really gave us a chance to move the ball efficiently, and they were really the reason why we put up the points that we did. And on defense, I thought we played better, but of course there's always room for improvement. We got to do a better job of not letting up big plays, and you know, when they scored with like a couple minutes left in the fourth quarter, we got to do a better job of, you know, staying disciplined and just not letting up those big plays towards the end.
Hey, Mark, this is Bill Bryant. Just wanted to check in as a former, very old quarterback. Talk a little bit about some of those linemen and you know how difficult it is to, you know, live in the trenches day after day and not get your name recognized. So give a shout out to some of those guys that you were talking about earlier.
Nick Mueller, center. You know, Uwe, right guard. Michael Sater, right tackle. Guard George Cosme, and left tackle Jack Sullivan. They don't get their name in the paper. They don't really show up in the box score, but they're the reason why, you know, they're like the anchor of our team. To be honest, they're the reason why we can move the ball. I mean, they don't, like I said, they don't get credit, but they really do deserve all the credit. And you know, they day after day, I mean, they are in the trenches every day, every practice, just working hard, helping other people in any way they can. So they really deserve all the credit.
So, Mark, reading some of the reports yesterday after the game, Coach A was very emotional about a couple of injuries to you guys. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he's an emotional guy, but you could feel it in what he had to say about the two guys you lost. How tough was that on the team?
I guess so those are as big as a loss as you can get. JJ he was putting together a really good season so far, and to see all the work that he put in, like in the off season, just you know, he was one of the hardest working kids we had. He's a great leader too, so to see him go down is really, really tough and very emotional. So I definitely see where Coach A is coming from. You know, I had the same kind of feel after the game. Like, I was happy that we won, but I also knew at the end, like, those are two, like, very important key factors in our team. But I'm happy that Nate's going to be all right. He said, I was talking to him yesterday, he's going to be all right. But JJ, I'm pretty sure, he's going to be out for the year, which is very sad to hear. But, I mean, I just hope he heals up quick.
You guys got a lot of guys to do, next guy up for sure on this team, and tell us just a little bit in terms of Nick Donadio yesterday. It's a huge game for you guys.
Yeah, he picked us up when we needed him. You know, he had that long touchdown off I believe it was a bubble, like 73 yards, I think, something like that.
Correct.
He picked us up when we needed him, and you know, he's a great leader. He's all over the field, and you know, he's pretty much as good as they get as a teammate and as a player. So he really picked us up when we needed him.
On the line with us, Mark Kassis, running back from Central Catholic Raiders, a 33-26 win over North Andover this week. Mark, 15 carries, 97 yards, and a touchdown. Hector, I cut you off there with a follow-up. You want to hit it?
Yeah, just going to ask you, Mark, your three non-divisional games are done here, and you're at the heart or the start of the divisional season in the conference. How fired up are you guys for that and this little run of Andover going through in the next three?
Yep. I mean, we're going to continue to prepare the same way. You know, the Merrimack Valley is a very competitive conference. You know, there's no easy week, to be honest. You got to treat every game the same way with the same mentality of just preparing for every team the same way, which is through hard work and great preparation. So treat every week of practice the same with good intensity and good focus, and we're just going to go into every game with the mindset of, you know, just trying to dominate every game.
Bill, I cut you off. What do you got?
No, I just wanted to check in, Mark, about North Andover. Obviously, that was a tough game last year, and it's always nice to come back the following year. But talk a little bit about North Andover and just talk about the game. Obviously, it was physical. You know, you're talking 33-26. So, what were some of the keys for North Andover to stay with you guys?
Yeah, North Andover, they have really good running backs. You know, they're very shifty, put the holes hard. they run under center. We knew it was going to be a very physical game, so the D lineman stepped up big yesterday. Brennan Society actually had a really good game on the D line, so shout out to him. And same with Jermaine Wiggins, he did a good job on the D line too. But we knew it was going to be a physical game, so we just had to play tough, play physical, and we knew that if we made the right reads and just followed our keys, we were going to be all right.
You mentioned Jermaine. I mean, what's it like having the Wiggy mania around the program with his dad and obviously from what I've seen, he's got somewhat similar personalities as his dad. Tell us a little bit about just the Wiggins family.
Yeah, I love having Jermaine around. He's a funny kid. He's a great teammate too, and I also see his little brother. He's a freshman. I see him floating around the school. He's a funny kid too. I love being around them. They're two great kids, and I see his dad walking around sometimes, and I'm like, wow, that's Jermaine Wiggins. That's really cool. I mean, it's cool. It's really nice having them around. They're great kids. What's
the scouting report on the youngin there? Is he football ready, or is he other sports?
He's playing football.
Nice.
I haven't really seen him play, but I'm sure he's good.
It's in the blood for sure.
It's in the blood, yeah.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about your quarterback here, Aiden Pereira. I mean, another position where you guys, folks think, all right, you're reloading there, but I mean, this kid's just been phenomenal for you guys.
He is. As a sophomore, he's really rose as a great leader for us, which is very important as a young player on the varsity level. He's really done a good job commanding the offense and taking control play by play. Everyone on the team has the utmost confidence in him and all that he's capable of. So we're just going to continue to keep riding with him, and we know that he's going to do great things for us.
Hector, what do you got?
Tim, I'm pretty good with Mark. He's had a big year already. I just wonder right now if Central has an idea, and maybe Mark, you can tell us how good you think you guys are. I think maybe expectations might have been lower for this group before the year started, and then you come out and you kick Springfield Central in the teeth, and you have that big win and kind of announce that you guys are around. Where do you think you guys are as a team?
I think we're off to a solid start on the season. I mean, always the number one goal in mind every year is to win the MVC championship. And I think if we keep pushing, we keep grinding, I think that's a great possibility. We just got to keep working hard, and that's always our number one goal in the season. But as a team, I think we're growing each week. We're starting to gel together as a team, week in and week out. Having good practices every week, that's essential in becoming a good team. And I think slowly but surely, we're growing into that team that we want to be. I mean, we have a lot of corrections to make, obviously, and a lot to improve on. But I mean, every week we just gotta keep getting better and better, and it'll all start to come together.
Bill, last thoughts here? Well, go ahead, Hector. Sorry.
Mark, just thinking about this one real quick because I see, next week's game against Andover is a Saturday game. Do you feel like you're getting a little bit, not robbed, but is it disappointing to not play Friday nights? Or are you guys okay with it? As the high school football player, you think of Friday Night Lights in quotes. How you adjusting to that? Do you feel like you're being cheated a little bit, or are you okay with this?
Yeah, we have to get used to it. I mean, no matter what the day is, football is still football in the end. We have to go out there and play our game, but Friday Night Lights, there's no better feeling than that. I mean, we definitely, as players, we want those Friday Night Lights. We miss them, and we're all just hoping for that first frost to hit so we can start playing night games again. I definitely miss the Friday Night Lights, and I want them to come back as soon as possible.
Bill, last thoughts here?
No, I really appreciate Mark's honest answer. I think that he's spot on. Once the whistle blows and the first kickoff goes, I think these kids are really rising to the occasion. Hector and Tim and Mark, but I really think that our local news media are dropping the ball on supporting these football teams that have been playing Friday nights. And how do we not have a big story to or each of the high school teams to say, come on down Saturday, it's free. And encourage these bigger crowds, because the games have been great, but the atmosphere just is not what it's been on Fridays, and it's really disappointing. And there would be a really strong story in encouraging the community to come out and support these teams across the Merrimack Valley. The numbers are just down, and it's kind of disappointing. So, Mark, I appreciate your honest answer, and I get it. Once the game starts, you better be ready, because you're playing against tough competition throughout the valley, but we really need some fans to get out and watch these games.
Definitely. I agree with that 100%.
Hey, Mark, before we let you go, we got the MVP vote this week. Your teammate Pereira was in the mix and won first week. Nick Donadio's in the vote this week. You want to do any campaigning here?
Definitely vote. I mean, Nick Donadio, come on now. Not much needs to be said. I already cast my vote for him, but I mean, he's a stud. He's all over the field 24/7. I mean, if you're at the games, he's hard to miss. So I mean, go out there, vote Nick. I mean, he deserves it. He really one of the hardest working kids that we have on the team. If not the hardest working kid. So I mean, he deserves all the accolades that come his way. But I know that's not really what's on. He doesn't really care if he wins that. I mean, the team is his number one priority. I know that, but I mean that would just be another great thing for him to accomplish.
All right, Mark Kassis from Central Catholic. Huge win this week. Huge game ahead of you. Really appreciate you coming on again with us, and we'll be rooting you guys on, and best of luck next week, and we'll be watching.
All right, thank you guys very much. It's always a pleasure talking to you guys.
Thanks, Mark. Great job.
All right, so that's Mark Kassis. Guys, you were talking Saturdays. Pretty impressed with the honest answer there.
Yeah, well, like I said, Bill, I wanted to preface the question by telling him when I asked about Saturdays that he could not answer with, it is what it is, because you figure that's coach speak, and it has to hurt a little bit to these guys, though, that this Saturday thing, because Friday nights are so big.
No, Hector, I agree. I wanted to cut you both off and tell them, just be a teenager and answer honestly. And I'll be honest, I have a question for you guys. We all know the pecking order of this trio, and I'm just a local dad yahoo. And you guys, Hector, you were at the Patriots game last week. Tim, Yankees, you've been all over the country.
Bill. That's a lot of sucking up.
How much of an impact regionally does Bill Belichick and the Patriots and the Patriot way have on our youth of the area? I mean, we're talking about Wiggins winning the Super Bowl ring. Well, who in the Patriots hasn't won a Super Bowl ring in the last 20 years? That whatever town they live in, they're going to have a Super Bowl champion ring attached to it. But seriously, going back to the high school kids, they all sound so scripted.
Oh, my God, yeah. And it's good when you get one that kind of leaves the script and goes outside the box. He tried. I think Mark tried a little bit there.
Yep.
It's such a big point to them that this Friday night thing, you could see it. But again, like I say, I've heard "do your job" so many times on the sideline the last 2 years, and it doesn't matter where the sideline is. Good coaching staffs, bad coaching staffs, good teams, bad teams. New Hampshire, Massachusetts. Wherever I am, I'm tired of do your job, okay? Everybody's going to do their job. If we just do our job defensively, yep, I've heard it. I know.
When we first saw those NFL, the season-ending videos, and they were named "Do Your Job," it was like that was awesome. But now, no more. Uh-oh, fumble,
Sorry,
fumble. You're right, Hector. That was a good save, brother. That was a good save.
You can tell we hit a nerve with Hector, man. He gets riled up with that. Well, Hector,
He's angry, boys. He's angry, and he is not going to take it anymore.
Hector, I think you said it perfectly, though. Good coaches, bad coaches. The difference is you got to teach the kids how to do their job first. And I think that's the difference when you're saying lock them up defensively. All right, coach, how do I do that when I'm playing against a kid like Brendan Ty who can run, catch, jump, and is as smart as a whip? I did get a chance to talk to him yesterday, and same thing, though. It was very, hey, good to see you, sir. I really appreciate the congratulations. Him and my son had a little 15-yard personal foul thing at during the game yesterday, and I know it wasn't on purpose. It was just, last 2 minutes. It just, and that part of it, I love to see good young men. His parents are great. His family is great. But, man, when they're talking in front of the mic, Coleman last week was like, oh, and I had an interception. And I kind of cringe, and I'm like, no, he should say that. He's 18 years old, and he just played a hell of a football game. Be a kid. Don't worry about the business. Don't worry about the Patriots, and have a little fun. Don't do bulletin board, but talk a little bit about how you did today.
Kassis, go ahead.
That 50-yard thing, they say that's genetic, so I put that one. Obviously. Tim, he sounds like a guy who didn't sell enough hot dogs on Saturdays and really wants those Friday nights back where he can put
the concessions are hurting, the gates hurting. I think you nailed it, Hector. I think you nailed it. All right, great job out of Mark Kassis. Hey, great job out of Leslie Theodore too. That was a soft-spoken kid, but gave the shout out to Lowell. So great job by those guys. All right, we'll take a break.
What last point for Leslie though? One of the things that answer Hector's question, Leslie brought up last year in how they never quit and they won a few games within the last minute. That's a dangerous team. When they have faith and trust that regardless of how much time is left, we have a chance to still win the game. That's going to bode well down the road for Methuen. If they have that much faith in themselves, the coaching staff, and their QB to know no matter how much time is left, we have a chance to win.
I feel like Molly Kiram on First Take trying to round up Stephen A. and Max we all like to talk. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk Tewksbury, BC High, big win for the Redmen. We'll also talk Andover Lawrence, and we'll bring onto the line Josh BB Ramos. We'll do all of that after the break here on MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance. Hey, I want to tell you about Jen Hamilton, the realtor for Keller Williams Realty. She's licensed in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, and she's a big supporter of all things local, especially youth sports. She's a big backer for Central Catholic and Methuen athletics, but she's a household name around the Merrimack Valley. Hey, the autumn market is in full swing. If you are thinking of selling, now is the time. Inventory is an all-time low, making this a seller's market. In a seller's market, there's a greater chance for a bidding war on your home. So put Jen Hamilton's 33-plus years of experience to work for you today by calling for a free, no-obligation market analysis of your home. Call Jen at 508-954-7941. A huge supporter of youth athletics. Listen, her record speaks for itself. She's one of the top sellers in the region for Keller Williams Realty. Hamilton is a household word. Call her at 508-954-7941. All right, I want to tell you about Davila and DeFusco Insurance, our presenting sponsor here on MVC Gridiron Weekly. It's a dream to own your own business, and Val and Susan Davila have made that a reality since February 2013. They started with just 2 insurance carriers, but now Right in Place Insurance for Progressive, Safeco, Pilgrim, Plymouth Rock, and Mapfre, just to name a few. You need auto insurance, renters, commercial, or home insurance? Davila and DeFusco prides itself in having lifelong roots in the Merrimack Valley. Put their experience to work for you. Visit them in person at 225 Broadway in Methuen or call 241-7950 for a free quote, and visit them anytime at daviladefusco.com. Big shout out to the folks at AFC Urgent Care, Lisa Williams and her team over there. AFC Urgent Care, the right care right now. You'll never need an appointment. Got that persistent cough and cold, that cut that needs a few stitching, or need a sports physical and don't want to wait weeks to get into your primary doctor? AFC's streamlined approach helps you be seen quickly and feel better fast. In Methuen, in the Merrimack Street Medical Professionals Building, 380R Merrimack Street. In North Andover as well, in the Burton Grill Plaza, 8 to 8 Monday to Friday, 8 to 5 Saturday and Sunday. Go to afcurgentcare.com for more details. Back here on MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila DeFusco Insurance. Hey, huge shout out to our sponsors, Davila DeFusco, AFC Urgent Care, Jen Hamilton, Realtor. Listen, huge thank you to them. You want to get involved, email me at tim@loopweekly.com. And we'll get you on the show. Make comments wherever you're watching this show. We'll find them and we will get you involved. It's the best bargain, and you're supporting youth sports, local journalism. It's a good thing for you and your business, so support us. All right, we're talking Tewksbury. We're talking BC High here, guys. Shane Aylward goes off for the Redmen, and another big win for Tewksbury. Hector, what's your thoughts?
When are teams going to realize he's pretty good and stop
He's
playing
all right.
him a little bit?
Yeah.
Seriously, though, have we found a defense that can kind of wrangle him in yet? I don't think so yet. I mean, he's been a dictator out there on the field, just dictating what Tewksbury does offensively. Bill, you saw him firsthand. What did Methuen do to slow him down, or how did they try and take him away? Obviously, Tommy knows the situation pretty well over there. I just, he's as good as it gets in this league right now.
He is, and I think the thing they did was had multiple people on him, and his touchdown kick return was don't kick him the ball at all. They kicked him the ball, and he scored a touchdown on the return.
Yep.
So you're 100% right. You have to have at least two people on him at all times, and that's whether he's running the ball, he's catching the ball, or he's throwing the ball. And I think that's what Lowell did with Brendan Ty, and I think Elwood is the same. He is just a multi-tool player.
Bill, how big is he?
He's on the smaller side.
Okay, so he's like about $170, right?
Yeah, that's the big difference between him and Ty. Ty is just a much bigger kid, much thicker, where Elwood is on the smaller side, but he does not play small at all.
And we've also got Kelu Olu's play running up here. His touchdown. It's another weapon for the Redmen. So it's not just Aylward now.
No, I got you.
So in terms of the Redmen, a huge effort from their O-line. Played an outstanding game, led by Anthony Capello, Michael Woodford, Robert Kimtis, Anthony DeSisto, Dylan Chandler, and Owen Gilligan at tight end. And then a great effort. They were down similar to the Methuen Lowell game, down 14-6 at halftime, rallied in the second half, and the defense came up huge, led by Patrick Fleming, Nolan Timmons, Matthew Roseman, and Steven Arsenault. So next week, decision maker in terms of the league, crossover game, North Andover Tewksbury. I mean, just a big game in terms of the elite in the conference. So Andover Lawrence. Let's switch gears. Talk Andover Lawrence. A big game again for the Golden Warriors. Josh Ramos, 4 touchdowns, 3 TD runs, 1 TD catch. Michael Slayton with another pick 6. Guys, what stood out for me just as I'm kind of watching the flow of this game, they're interchanging quarterbacks now. Harrington wasn't hurt. They just brought in Scott Brown, the freshman, and Scotty Brown goes for 2 TD passes and a TD run in the game. So, I was saying it earlier. This Andover team's got some weapons. They've got some interchangeable parts here that are explosive.
I'm a little confused by that. Was Harrington injured or banged
No.
up? I mean, he's a sophomore who had a heck of a year last year. What would be the Hector? What would be the reasoning for that? What's the inside scoop there?
I don't have an inside, but it's just overly, abundance of talent, abundance of weapons, like Tim mentioned. You know, Bill. This is a group.
You guys know E.J. Perry. Has this ever been in the game plan in terms of interchanging quarterbacks for him?
I have never seen that before. No, to be honest with you, Tim.
I mean, I get that for running back or wide receiver, but to bring in a younger quarterback, a freshman who's not been tested, I mean, I get it. I was going to say you're playing Lawrence, but Lawrence put up 28 on them, and they're no joke. That just is that to me. I want to find out a little bit more.
And
about
Bill, there was no injury. That was made clear. That was made clear on Twitter and just following up with folks after the game, talking to folks. There was no injury. And Harrington came back in the game and finished it. So it was just trying to get this guy experience. I think it was just trying to throw the Lancers off a little bit. Maybe they're not expecting this kid. He's a freshman. Again, like you guys said, not something that Perry does, and it could be like Belichick masterclass stuff here, you know.
Well, I'm not going to go that far yet. But
thank you for reining it back in.
Yes. Look. I think we all saw what Harrington brings to the table. There's a gobs of potential there. We saw that last year in little bursts. But again, this is a team with multiple weapons. Tim, honestly, my focus here is on, and I know you say Billy, you say they gave up 28 points. Is it me or is Andover playing a little defense this year, though? Tim mentioned the Slayton kid. Andover has been soft defensively since pre-Perry. Okay, I'm going back years. Let's be honest. They haven't had great defensive teams, and I go out thinking of going all the way back to Coach Collins. They were always offense first, and the defense kind of wavered for a long time. I think back to a night where Billerica put up like 400 yards of offense on them, running basically quarterback sneak up the middle all night, and.
I really think this Slayton kid is setting the tone for the team, Hector. He really is. I mean, when you watch him and you watch him in person, you watch him on the huddle film, he is everywhere. But yet he's a spy on the quarterback, and he's got incredible athleticism. If you throw a ball across the middle, I've seen him make some plays here where he's twisting his body, going up high. And it's I think it's setting the tone for the whole team in terms of the work ethic.
Look, if they play defense, look out.
Yeah.
That's basically the point I'm making. I mean, I watched this team when young EJ went down to BC High, and this was when BC High was really good. They just couldn't stop them, but they could score with them, and they've always been able to score with teams. The separator is they haven't been able to get stops. If they get stops, look out for Andover.
All right, so we talked defense. Let's bring in the offensive star for the Golden Warriors so far. Let's punch up Josh Ramos on the line here. And on the line with us here on MVC Gridiron Weekly, the running back from the Andover Golden Warriors, Josh Ramos. Josh, Tim Wood here on MVC Gridiron Weekly. Really appreciate you joining us here on the show. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So we're playing phone tag. We got your fellow teammate Michael Slayton on the show last week, and you called right behind him. I was like, we're gonna get you on next week, and I was hoping for big things, so that we didn't We didn't screw with your mojo there in terms of when we had you on the show, and man, did you deliver! you guys dominated. You put up a huge game against Lawrence. Tell me in terms of just your thoughts on that victory.
We knew what we could do, and we just went out there and executed. We just fought and tried to get the win.
What is this like for you in terms of just this run? I mean, 619 yards, 11 touchdowns. You're averaging 7.6 yards per rush. I mean, what has this start been like for you?
It was amazing. Just working so hard in the summer to get where I'm at right now. It just feels so good to produce those type of numbers.
In terms of where you guys are at, I mean, the team just seems to be meshing. You've got so many weapons. You've got so many playmakers. Tell me about where you feel the team's at this point.
I think that we have a high ceiling. Our coaches said it before, but we're good right now. But I think we can get a lot better.
That's a scary thought for the rest of the MVC, my friend, because I mean you've got guys. It's like next guy up for you guys. You guys have weapons all over the place. I mean, Victor Harrington's been a beast, and then you've got this freshman quarterback Scott Brown that steps in and just had a monster game for you guys yesterday.
First varsity touchdown last game.
Yeah. I mean, what was it like for you? You've had that experience. What was it like just seeing another teammate of yours experience that, getting their first touchdown?
I love it. I just love watching my teammates succeed, especially a freshman like Scotty. It feels so good because I know big things are ahead of them. Yeah, I mean,
you guys have interchangeable parts here, and you don't miss a beat. Tell me a little bit about Michael Slayton. We had him on the show last week, and I mean, he just another interception return touchdown this week. Tell me a little bit about what it's like watching him put in the work and how he delivers in the games.
Michael Slayton is a beast. Slayton, offense and defense, he will crush you. Best linebacker in the MVC. He had a monster. He's been having these monster games.
We're talking to Josh Ramos here on MVC Gridiron Weekly. Josh with 4 touchdowns again in the 52-28 win over Lawrence. Josh, in terms of where you're at in your career, you were off to a huge start last year, and then you had an injury in the 4th game of the season against Methuen. Tell us a little bit in terms of having to sit out and go through that recovery, and then what it's been like getting back on the field.
It was tough having to sit out. The comeback feels twice as good, you know. It was so good just being back and being able to play football again.
So we've punched up some highlights from last week's game, just from Billerica. It just really kind of highlights a lot of the different things that you've been doing on the football field. Where did you learn this style and this slashing and just the comfort to hit that hole and explode?
I'd say just playing football in Lawrence, you know, with bigger kids, Paul Warner.
You always playing against bigger kids. Always kind of had to kind of show yourself as worthy to be on the field, huh?
Yeah, I was always undersized as a kid, so.
Do you feel like that your size gives you an advantage almost in terms of you being able to see behind your linemen, but them not always having an eye on you?
Yeah, I definitely do. It's definitely harder for defenders to bring me down, to catch me.
In terms of, tell us just about how it was your first week back, and getting back on the field, and you said it was the 7-on-7s.
Yeah.
What was that? I mean, was there any nervousness in terms of taking that first hit, making that first cut?
No, I wouldn't say there was a lot of nervousness, just a lot of excitement.
I mean, I gotta imagine just putting in all that work to come back and knowing the talent you have and knowing what you can deliver for your teammates. And boy, I mean, have you delivered? Just a monster season so far. Tell us a little. Okay, so Michael, he got us straight on the spelling. Tell us where the BB comes from.
Oh, it's just a nickname that my parents gave me when I was born. They're from the Dominican Republic, and parents there just give their kids a nickname like BB. My sister is Beba, and my brother was Bebo.
Nice. That's a mouthful. It's like a tongue twister. Does that have any specific meaning, or just
like a baby boy?
Yep. And it's B-I-B-I, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Michael set us straight on that. He said it'd been spelt in the papers as maybe B-E-B-E or something. In terms of you mentioned your family. Your dad Jose played for Lawrence. You've got a rich history of football in your family.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit in terms of just kind of having that in your blood and how you got into the game.
I feel like it's definitely in my blood. Everyone in my family just loves football so much. Like, I love football so much. It's just, I don't know.
What is it about football that gets the blood rushing?
I'd say breaking those big runs just feels special to me.
When you see that much, when you make the right read behind your lineman and you see that much daylight ahead of you, it's gotta be something that few people can experience.
Yeah, it's undescribable.
Tell us a little bit in terms of your linemen. Give some shout outs to the linemen.
I got some amazing linemen. We got AJ Heike, Will Mears, Tristan Onbeck, Ben Etner, and who am I missing? Wow, I'm having a brain fart right now.
It's early Sunday morning. We're gonna give you a break, and your teammate will give you a pass, I'm sure. If you might owe him lunch or something, but you guys have there's no breaks in the MVC schedule, and you guys have a big game coming up here, a statement game.
The last lineman was Imeldi Moreno.
There you go. I figured give you a second, you'll get it. All right. Redemption right there, absolutely. Tell us a little bit in terms of the next week's game and the rivalry game here with Central Catholic.
Huge next week. Only thing that's been on my mind recently is Central.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, is that just been kind of whether you're in Lawrence, whether you're in Andover, is that just kind of the gold standard and the pinnacle moment that you look forward to?
Yes, I think so.
You can't look past anybody, obviously, right? But I mean, now they're actually on the schedule. You can admit to thinking about them a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
What specifically in terms of Central Catholic? What's got you? What's had you thinking about it so much?
Well, there's always been a huge rivalry there, Andover versus versus Central. So I just want to be one of those special teams that just go out there and dominate Central. I just want to be a class that is just remembered forever.
Well, you're on your way, my friend. Just an incredible season here, and just an absolute joy to you can tell when certain players just have this joy about playing the game, and when it comes through, when the results come through, that's just gravy. So you're senior. You've got next year looming. Looking to play football in college.
Yes.
Look and had some interest thus far.
Yeah, a little bit.
Anywhere that you want to shout out to? Have you taken any visits yet, or is that's still ahead of you?
No, it's still ahead of me.
Okay, understood. Well, tell you, Huddle's a phenomenal tool for getting the word out about you, and we'll certainly do our part. But you're doing your part just by the effort you're putting forth, and congratulations on the results so far. We can't wait to see what's next with Central Catholic and just the rest of the season here. We'll be watching. All right, now listen. You got to give some motivation to the Andover fans and to your faithful here. We had you on the MVP vote last week, and you had the numbers, but the end result was a little thin in terms of getting out the vote. What do you want to say? You're on it again this week. Obviously, you're one of the four this week. What do you want to say in terms of getting out the vote?
Oh man.
I like it. You're kind of humble, and it's let your actions do the talking on the field, right?
Numbers don't lie.
There it is. All right, excellent. Josh, huge thank you for coming on, getting up so early and talking with us here on MVC Gridiron Weekly, and we'll talk to you down the road here.
All right.
So that's Josh Ramos, and a huge thank you for joining us. Josh called last week. Slayton called first, and Ramos was ready to go, and it was like, let's get you on next week. We're hoping, figuring he's going to put up big numbers, but he's not disappointed. 619 yards, 11 touchdowns, averaging 7.6 carries. And listen, you don't want to inflate the kid's ego, but some of these plays, the Billerica plays especially, it was like watching a Barry Sanders in terms of the moves he was making. Bill, the injury came last year against Methuen. You saw this kid up close and personal. What do you make of him?
No, he was definitely a disappointing loss for them last year. You hate to see any kid get hurt, but someone with his caliber of talent last year, it definitely had a huge impact on the game as Methuen pulled that one out in the last 30 seconds. But to see him come back this well, Josh Ramos to me is a kid that other kids around the Merrimack Valley probably watch his highlight film and root for him, just like basketball players back in the day probably had Michael Jordan's picture on their wall. This is a kid that I know that the league has a ton of respect for, because you're right, he just makes some fantastic runs, and he's one of the more athletic kids in the whole conference.
Hector, I was trying to get him to promote himself in terms of the MVP vote, and he finally, right at the end, says numbers don't lie. And they really don't.
Too humble, first of all. Yep. Definitely too humble. But yeah, look, an explosive player, that one you have to watch. But again, he's one of a handful of weapons there, Tim. Let's not fool ourselves. Heck of a player. Love him. Love his game. But I don't know if you didn't want to blow him up. I called him Barry Sanders. So I'm not sure we want to push it a little further than that. But the comparisons to Barry Sanders, Tim.
The play against Billerica, Hector. the one play where he was like he was buried in the pile, and then all of a sudden he emerges, makes 2 cuts, and goes for 80 yards. It was special. Anyway, all right, that's great job by.
Before we go, my man, famous Seamus with the 32-yard field goal in that game.
Got to talk about the kickers. Absolutely. Thank you for getting that in there. Seamus, big kick. Well done by you, sir. All right.
And then one other note, we got Lawrence traveling all the way to Dennis, Yarmouth. That's kind of a strange little game. My brother's a policeman out in Yarmouth, and he's going to be scouting that game for me and checking it out. But so that's kind of an odd matchup.
Oh, indeed. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back after the break. We will talk Dracut, Chelmsford, and the other games of the day. We'll bring Kyle Silva into the discussion as well. Great interview you're not going to want to miss. Come on back with us here on MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance. Big shout out to the folks at AFC Urgent Care, Lisa Williams and her team over there. AFC Urgent Care, the right care right now. You'll never need an appointment. Got that persistent cough and cold, that cut that needs a few stitching, or need a sports physical and don't want to wait weeks to get into your primary doctor? AFC's streamlined approach helps you be seen quickly and feel better fast. In Methuen, in the Merrimack Street Medical Professionals Building, 380R Merrimack Street. In North Andover as well, in the Burton Grill Plaza, 8 to 8 Monday to Friday, 8 to 5 Saturday and Sunday. Go to afcurgentcare.com for more details. Hey, I want to tell you about Jen Hamilton, the realtor for Keller Williams Realty. She's licensed in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, and she's a big supporter of all things local, especially youth sports. She's a big backer for Central Catholic and Methuen athletics, but she's a household name around the Merrimack Valley. Hey, the autumn market is in full swing. If you are thinking of selling, now is the time. Inventory is an all-time low, making this a seller's market. In a seller's market, there's a greater chance for a bidding war on your home. So put Jen Hamilton's 33-plus years of experience to work for you today by calling for a free, no-obligation market analysis of your home. Call Jen at 508-954-7941. A huge supporter of youth athletics. Listen, her record speaks for itself. She's one of the top sellers in the region for Keller Williams Realty. Hamilton is a household word. Call her at 508-954-7941. All right, I want to tell you about Davila and DeFusco Insurance, our presenting sponsor here on MVC Gridiron Weekly. It's a dream to own your own business, and Val and Susan Davila have made that a reality since February 2013. They started with just 2 insurance carriers, but now right-in-place insurance for Progressive, Safeco, Pilgrim, Plymouth Rock, and Mapfre, just to name a few. You need auto insurance, renters, commercial, or home insurance? Davila and DeFusco prides itself in having lifelong roots in the Merrimack Valley. Put their experience to work for you. Visit them in person at 225 Broadway in Methuen or call 978-241-7950 for a free quote, and visit them anytime at daviladefusco.com. Back here on MVC Gridiron Weekly, the Week 3 edition, brought to you by Davila and DeFusco Insurance. Tim Wood, Bill Bryant, Hector Longo, and you, Hector, with the nice coif. Well done. Yeah. Well done. Shout out to the barber, Hector.
High and tight, baby. High and tight. No shout out to the barber.
No shout out to the... You want to advertise, we'll shout you out. I love it. Well played.
Hector's barber is the Floby.
The Floby, yeah.
He hooked it on the vacuum and did it high and tight.
I can respect the two blade and shave. I mean that's how I used to do it. Well done.
I hear you.
All right. Okay. So let's talk Haverhill Westford. Another disappointing loss for Haverhill. I'm not sure what to say with this team, guys.
Yeah, this was a surprising loss from Westford has not had a good few seasons, and this is a big game that I thought Haverhill would have got off the schneid and put a W. So to see a 17-point loss might mean some kids are giving up, which is unfortunate.
Turnovers, they really hurt the Hillies in this one, and you know how it is with these offenses. You get that kind of avalanche type effect. Bad things happen, and a couple bad things put together, especially in the third quarter, and that was that. And another tough one for the Hillies.
We do want to talk positives. And Aiden Alvarado, team best 10 tackles. Brady Scaffis, 13-yard touchdown pass to Jaden Johnson on a 4-yard TD run. Jabari Baptiste, a team-high 90 rushing yards, 4-yard TD run. And Tayshawn McGee, team best 85 receiving yards for the Hillies. But 0-4, Methuen next week. Is that enough to get up for in terms of rising the talent here, Hector?
Well, you have the league starting now, so that's something they'll focus on. I wouldn't be surprised if they show Methuen a little something different, coming up this week to try and mix things up, change things. But again, it's tough stretch for the Hillies, 0-3, and staring at that gauntlet of with Methuen, Lawrence, Andover Central firing at you in those 4 quick ones.
All right, so
Haverhill Methuen always play tough. They're going to definitely show up. This is going to be a brand new week for Haverhill, and Methuen better not take them lightly, even though they're 0-4.
Let's talk Billerica.
0-3, fellas. 0-3.
0-3. All right. So Billerica, Bishop Fian, guys, 31-5. Billerica, a nice rebound win for the Indians. Nolan Houlihan, 14-18, 302 passing yards, 3 TD passes, including an 83-yarder and a 95-yarder. Colby Cyrus, 220 receiving yards, 3 TDs, 32, 95, and 38. And then a 55-yard interception return deep in the end zone, stopped the drive, and then returned it to the 50. Sean Rana, a 42. Your kicker here, Hector. 42-yard field goal, 3 PAT conversions, and Jason Paganis, a 4-yard TD run for Billerica's final score. Bill, the Indians scored the final 24 points of this game.
No, it's really good to see Houlihan. Not too many high school kids have over 300 yards passing. I know he did that once or twice last year, and it's good to see. They were hoping to have a big season for them, and their meat of their orders coming up as well as far as their conference. But it's good to see Billerica back on. Colby Cyrus and Houlihan hooking up for that many yards is impressive, and it's good to see them put a nice solid win up and hopefully get things going. I know their line has struggled early on this season.
We got a couple of the touchdown passes here, Bill, provided to us. So we're watching the 95-yarder, I think, and listen, Houlihan throws a really nice deep ball as well, and that's on display here in the next clip. It's been a little bit of a mystery. Andover, Billerica, he didn't look himself. Houlihan did not look himself at all, and this game was definitely a return to form.
No, definitely not. When the line struggles a little bit, they get some pressure. It's really hard to hit those deep balls when you don't have a lot of time, and I think that's been their weapon of choice, has been getting him in the deep drop and firing away up and over the safety or over the DB. And when the defensive was getting pressure, I don't think he was having the time to let that ball sling the way he was last year and obviously against Bishop Fian.
Hector, you mentioned it in terms of Haverhill. One of the things that's definitely been hurting Billerica is the turnovers, and it almost feels like if and when they get that straight like they did in this game, they've got the talent, they've got the chemistry with a lot of veteran talent on this team. This was going to be the year.
Yeah, look, shout out to the Indians bullpen after they gave it the 5 runs. They shut it down and slammed the door. But no, look, he's a legit quarterback who got it done last year from week 1, and you don't want to stare at Nolan Julian across the line at him and go, wait a minute. He gets rolling, so you got to attack him, put pressure on him, and that's what happened with Andover. They get on him a little bit. If he has time, he can hurt you, and give him space, he makes plays. So it's that's what I look at when you approach Billerica. They only try and pressure them.
So next game on the docket here for us, Dracut. We mentioned them earlier in the show. They moved to 3-0 under new head coach Jordan Murphy, a 32-14 win over Chelmsford. They were down 14-12 in the second quarter before scoring 20 unanswered points. J.C. Santiago, 210 pass yards, TD pass, TD run. Patrick O'Toole, a 32-yard TD pass, catch, a 40-yard catch, part of the Middy's third TD drive. Matt Annis, a 32-yard catch on 4th and 1 that led to the Middy's second touchdown. Liam Gillette for Chelmsford, a 20-yard TD run that gave the Lions their 14-12 lead. But Bill, these Middies, Santiago's the real deal. They got a couple kids here, O'Toole and Annis, that didn't play football and coming back to the program. They're formidable.
Yeah, no, when you have a coach that's a Dracut guy jumping into the high school, getting kids that Annis is a lacrosse player, basketball player, hey, let's go. We need you on the football team. He's a big, strong kid. So it's good to see that you have a coach now that's getting kids in the high school. Come out and play football. And it's good to see them back. I think Hector said it before. Anytime you see an MVC team that's been down a little bit, which they haven't been, but to stay up year after year has been exciting. I think the key here is it was 14-12 at the half. It just shows Chelmsford is fighting to stay in the mix here. They want to be relevant again. They want their program to be up. And it sounds like they had a similar game where turnovers in the second half, a punt miscue led to a touchdown, then another touchdown. All of a sudden, it's a little bit of a blowout, but you're talking 14-12 in the second quarter.
Yeah, we're watching the fumble recovery here. Perfectly timed comment there, Bill. The fumble recovery, a key turnover for the Lions. But O'Toole, as we mentioned, as we punch up this play, O'Toole, a great deep ball pass to O'Toole. He's been a surprise weapon for them on the deep pass, on the sideline routes. He's really impressed. And the one guy we didn't even mention, Kyle Silva. The kid hasn't played offense since sophomore year. Comes in to replace Lucas Abargwin, who's got a shoulder sprain. Coach Murphy says he'll be back next week, but this week it was Silva who had to step up, and he came up big for the Middies. Hector, how do we gauge in terms of where they can fit into the mix?
Well, I think big key here, you mentioned the two guys coming back. Mid-sized high schools, multi-sport kids are huge to the football program. There's no getting around it. This is not a Pinkerton Academy with 4,000 kids or a Brockton High or a big school like that. You need the multi-sport kids. You're not going to succeed without them. And I think give football coaches around here credit. Lately, there's been a little bit of a resurgence in getting those kids done. Part of it is the pinball aspect of the game. We're playing wide open and fast, and it's athletic and fun football. This is not grind them up, beat yourself up football. But if Dracut gets these kids out, all of a sudden, Santiago's an explosive kid. He just is.
Oh, yeah.
So you add weapons around them, and all of a sudden, we saw it with North Andover for the last couple of years. The multi-threats, all of a sudden you're stretching defense from sideline to sideline.
And to think about it, they lost a kid like Jacob Rivers, who's now putting up touchdowns in Lowell. So when a small program like Dracut loses one of their top three players, you think, okay, that's going to hurt. Boom, there they are. They're 3-0. Moving into next week.
Back here, played offense.
Around here, credit. Lately, there's been a little bit of a
and to think about it, they lost a kid like Jacob Rivers, who's now putting up touchdowns in Lowell. So when a small program like Dracut loses one of their top three players, you think, okay, that's going to hurt. boom, there they are. They're 3-0. Moving into next week, a huge game against Billerica.
3 turnovers for the Lions in that game, 3 fumbles as you mentioned, guys, and 310 total yards for the Middies. Part of this was I'm amazed, and it's changed the way we do the show. The huddle highlights. Some of these schools get these game recaps where they're literally Sports Center highlights with graphics, with the ISO on the players. It's revolutionizing just in terms of week to week film analysis and recruiting for the colleges.
Yeah.
Anyway,
these kids don't have.
Go ahead.
These kids get seen. These kids just get seen. It's and they're better at posting the video than most of us. So it's good stuff.
You guys go ahead, Bill.
Yeah. Just to backtrack, I know we talked about Haverhill being 0-3. Just so remember, we had the staggered start this year. So week 1 was actually, for some of the teams, was early September. So we do have several teams that have already played 4 games. So the Hillies, unfortunately, are 0-4. Remember their first game was Everett in week 1?
Yes. Yep.
So I'm sorry for scolding the two of you. I apologize.
No problem.
That's all right. I'm a stats factual guy. I just like to keep it real.
Like the Tony Reale of the show. Well done. So we were talking the two sport guys. We got the surprise hero. Thanks to Coach Murphy for getting him for us. Let's talk to Kyle Silva, a football guy, a lacrosse guy, and one of the stars of this win. And on the phone with us, the victorious Dracut Middies, the 3-0 Middies, another big win for Dracut, this time over Chelmsford, and we're lucky enough to have on the line with us Kyle Silva, running back and cornerback for the Dracut Middies. Kyle, how are you? Tim Wood, MVC Gridiron Weekly. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. So really excited to have you on the show. Another big win for the Middies. In terms of you guys were trailing second quarter to Chelmsford. Tell me in terms of just the team's attitude and what you guys were feeling in terms of making that comeback.
I think we just had a mentality of just 0. It's still 0-0 at halftime. We were just thinking that to ourselves in our head. Just 0-0, 0-0. The game isn't over. I think it was just that type of mentality, to be honest with you, to have us step up in the second half of the game.
Now, the regular running back, Lucas Abargwin, he was out with a shoulder sprain this week, and we hear he's on the road to recovery. But you stepped. You normally play mostly defense. You stepped in at running back and just had a monster day. I mean, what did that feel like for you to step into that role and deliver for your team?
I would have to give credit to Lucas and the O-line, really. Lucas helps me out every single day. I don't, like I said, I haven't played offense since sophomore year, and JC helped me out during it. They're just supporting, really. I think it's just the support that helped me do good that game, just mentally, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. So we're punching up your touchdown run. What did that feel like? I mean, normally you're trying to defend that, and now you've got the first touchdown since. Is that the first touchdown of your varsity career?
It was my second. Last year versus Chelmsford, I stripped a kid for a touchdown.
Okay.
But, that was my second touchdown. Yeah, it felt awesome, to be honest. No other feeling just getting back in the end zone.
And that's that was a clutch touchdown for you guys too. You guys were down at that point, right?
Yeah. big credit to Adil, really, and the O-line. They played hard. They didn't stop. Adil, he had a huge block on that run just to help me, that little extra push, but really, huge credit to O-line.
We're talking to Kyle Silva from the Dracut Middies here on MVC Gridiron Weekly. The Middies with a big win over Chelmsford, a 32-14 win. Tell me a little bit in terms of your quarterback, J.C. Santiago. You mentioned him before, but he's providing a ton of leadership for you guys thus far.
Oh, yeah, for sure. JC, he goes to practice, works very, very hard every single day, helps me a lot. Even though he's not a captain, he's still a leader, and he's just a great kid. You know, he's great football IQ, helps out everyone, whoever needs help with just remembering stuff or anything, he's there.
Now, you guys made a great playoff run last year, and really shocked some of the Massachusetts football world. In terms of where you guys are at this year under new head coach Jordan Murphy, how was it making that transition to the new coach? And the record says it's working out. I mean, in terms of how you as the players see it, how's it working out so far with the new coach?
I think it's working out great. Coach Murphy is a very good guy. You know, he's you can just tell he's there for the players. Very chill. He's very straightforward type of guy, type of coach. You know, he and like just the whole coaching staff, Porter coming from LC, it's just everything is just working together. They all work together as coaches, and that's particularly why we're 3-0. Really, start coaching.
You guys have you've been playing football since 8th grade. I got to imagine a lot of you guys have been playing together straight up through. Yes.
Yeah, we had a few guys come back this year from freshman football. Kyle Cox, Matt Annis, Patty O'Toole.
Yeah, and the last two names you mentioned there came up huge. Matt Annis with the 32-yard catch on 4th and 1 that led to one of the Middies' touchdowns, and then Patrick O'Toole, 32-yard touchdown catch and a 40-yard catch, part of the Middies' third touchdown drive. I mean, talk about just those two additions.
Yeah. Patty O'Toole, every day works hard. Every day at practice, he just works hard. Very hard worker. He's just I think he's one of the fastest kids in the MVC off the line, to be honest. He's very hard to cover. But he's just a great athlete. Matt Annis, big body. You know, he can play. Really, he's our tight end. Just throw him up to a fade, he'll catch it. You know, he's just they're both very good players.
I mean, Chelmsford is definitely rebounding and got their first win last week. How did the coach keep you guys grounded in terms of not reading your own press or not getting too big headed, being 2-0 and heading into this game?
I think it was just come out first quarter, beat them up, and just think in the second half of the game, just the game isn't over yet. The game isn't over yet. We just have to keep on pushing. I think we just emphasized that, really.
Well, the end result was certainly there. 20 unanswered points after being down 14-12 in the second quarter. Kyle, you also play lacrosse. Tell me in terms of just your football versus lacrosse. It seems like it's a good crossover sport for a lot of football players.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love lacrosse. I think it's a very crossover. I think it's a very good sport. I think it just helps, like, I don't know, most of the guys that play lacrosse some of them play football. We're trying to get some people to play that play football to play lacrosse, but
a little bit at a time, get them out, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of your career, was that the biggest individual moment for you in terms of your career for Dracut so far?
I think so. I think that was my first game playing getting reps at offense, but I don't know. It just felt like I don't know.
How much reps did you get during the week? Was it pretty much known that you were going to be the guy, or did that kind of come down later in the week?
Me and Carter, we switched off reps during the week. He's a big help to me, and just like telling me the plays, just like helping me out, like during practice, like my steps and everything. Big shout out to him.
Absolutely. I mean, you guys certainly worked in tandem, and you worked well with Santiago, the whole offense. For that first time being out there since sophomore, you certainly delivered. Tell me a little bit in terms of, you guys got Billerica next week. What's that rivalry like? Have you guys started breaking things down yet?
Yeah, we just got film on them. I've been watching a little bit, but we're gonna start breaking down probably Monday.
Nice. All right. So you said when you're not playing sports, you're talking sports. Are you who's your NFL team?
Oh, of course, the Patriots.
Hey, I gotta ask. I gotta ask. It's a given, but I've had some folks say the Seahawks or something, so you just never know. You want to put a prediction on record with the Bills game?
I don't know.
Don't want to jinx it?
Yeah, no, I don't want to jinx it.
Awesome. Hey, Kyle, great job. Congratulations on a huge day, a huge win for the team, and a great individual moment for you, and I wish you the best of success here for the rest of the season. We really appreciate you joining us here on MVC Gridiron Weekly.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Have a great weekend. Go Patriots, and good luck next week against Billerica.
Thank you.
All right, so a huge thank you to Kyle Silva. Just an outstanding kid. That was his first ever interview. Because he hasn't really been one of the guys you talk about. He's one of those guys that isn't on the stat sheet. That's always been the unsung hero. Pretty cool guys that this kid hasn't played an offensive snap since sophomore year. As the senior steps in for a bargain and delivers huge.
Well, Tim, I mean, it's about time you started paying attention to the guys who play a little defense.
Right?
You're going for the Barry Sanders types out there all the time. It's good for you, Tim. We appreciate the epiphany that you're having.
It has been an epiphany this year. I'm just saying it. It's been fun to. Some points are being put up, okay, but there's been some really impressive defensive performances. So this kid, defensive star, becomes the offensive star for a game. Just a good story, Bill.
No, it definitely is. In a small school like Dracut, to have a kid that athletic to not play both sides of the ball, I think is uncommon. But to be able to step up and do your job.
Oh, Hector.
Do your job.
His job too.
We need a jar. We need a jar. $1 for every do your job.
I get to go on the field and not make a tackle and go, sorry, that's not my job. I drove.
Coach, do your job.
No, but what a huge day for a senior. I mean, for some of these kids, this is kind of it for football after this. So to get his first interview, to get a big win like that over Chelmsford, that's fantastic.
Those are the fun ones for me, guys. I just when you got a kid who probably never expect to get the call. You know, I've kind of been having fun when we set up these interviews. You know, we're trying. We have Skype available. I thought by now we would be able to get one of these guys on Skype. I'm trying to get the. I didn't think the coaches were going to buy it, but I'm trying to get the players, and you know I'm trying to sell them on the Deion Sanders. You know, if you ball, you get the call, and just no Skype on yet. All audio.
Tim, I talked to the people at Skype, and they said there's no way that my head could fit in a 4x4. They said they shut us off, so that was that.
We've used up all the bandwidth.
You're not too for you. You stretched it to no end with the three of us, so no way they can go 4. That was they shut it down right there. So nothing we can do on that one.
Nice. All right, we are nearing the end of this edition. We will come back. We will talk. We'll talk stars of the week. We'll give out our game balls, a little preview of the honor roll, and then we'll talk the MVP candidates, next week's schedule, little look ahead. All that in the final segment of this week's show. MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance. All right, I want to tell you about Davila and DeFusco Insurance, our presenting sponsor here on MVC Gridiron Weekly. It's a dream to own your own business, and Val and Susan Davila have made that a reality since February 2013. They started with just 2 insurance carriers, but now Right in Place Insurance for Progressive, Safeco, Pilgrim, Plymouth Rock, and Mapfre, just to name a few. You need auto insurance, renters, commercial, or home insurance? Davila and DeFusco prides itself in having lifelong roots in the Merrimack Valley. Put their experience to work for you. Visit them in person at 225 Broadway in Methuen or call 978-241-7950 for a free quote, and visit them anytime at daviladefusco.com. Hey, I want to tell you about Jen Hamilton, the realtor for Keller Williams Realty. She's licensed in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, and she's a big supporter of all things local, especially youth sports. She's a big backer for Central Catholic and Methuen athletics, but she's a household name around the Merrimack Valley. Hey, the autumn market is in full swing. If you are thinking of selling, now is the time. Inventory is an all-time low, making this a seller's market. In a seller's market, there's a greater chance for a bidding war on your home. So put Jen Hamilton's 33-plus years of experience to work for you today by calling for a free, no-obligation market analysis of your home. Call Jen at 508-954-7941. A huge supporter of youth athletics. Listen, her record speaks for itself. She's one of the top sellers in the region for Keller Williams Realty. Hamilton is a household word. Call her at 508-954-7941. Big shout out to the folks at AFC Urgent Care, Lisa Williams and her team over there. AFC Urgent Care, the right care right now. You'll never need an appointment. Got that persistent cough and cold, that cut that needs a few stitching, or need a sports physical and don't want to wait weeks to get into your primary doctor? AFC's streamlined approach helps you be seen quickly and feel better fast. In Methuen, in the Merrimack Street Medical Professionals Building, 380R Merrimack Street. In North Andover as well, in the Burton Grill Plaza, 8 to 8 Monday to Friday, 8 to 5 Saturday and Sunday. Go to afcurgentcare.com for more details. Down the home stretch on MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance. Tim Wood, Bill Bryant, Hector Longo. All right, so we're talking honor roll, we're talking game balls. normally here we read out all of our honor roll guys. What we're doing now, we're gonna put it up on the web. We've been putting it up on the web on Mondays. That's what we'll do. A little video there of all of our honor roll, all the guys beyond the MVP vote that had great weeks. But guys, let's talk about our 4 MVP candidates this week. First guy, we mentioned him, Shane Aylward for Tewksbury.
Yeah, no, kid, both sides of the ball, just is impressive kid, and it's good to see him have such a breakout offensively. Almost 200 yards total offense is impressive.
Hector, in terms of just the family, the coach-son relationship, I think that's probably what impresses me most about the kid is just the humility, but at the same time the tenacity that's kind of the in the DNA there.
Yeah, like at some point is that I don't want to call it the kryptonite or what, like the Elwoods have shown no weakness on the football field, honest to God, and I don't mean to sound like that as because I like beer as much as anybody does. They just don't show any weakness, honest to God. Week in and week out. Has Shane played a bad game in the 2 years or year plus we've done this thing yet?
No.
Has turned in a dud? No, he hasn't. He's so consistent, and that's a Tewksbury trait. That's not just the Elwood trait. But the consistency, I think the consistency level is probably something I'd focus on most with him. Just week in and week out, sees the top defender each week and delivers week in, week out.
Our second candidate, Colby Cyrus. We've mentioned him in the honor roll so far, but I mean he has a career game, 220 receiving yards, 3 TD catches, a 55-yard interception return to stop a Bishop Feehan drive, Bill. Just a huge day from Cyrus.
No, absolutely. And when you're looking at the receiving yards, when you see the videos, it's Nolan Houlihan throwing the ball up over the defender, Colby's catching it in stride and running. And then you're like, oh, okay, so that's kind of easy when you got a really good quarterback. But when you're talking a 55-yard touchdown interception return, there is no play. This is a kid picking the ball off and just using his other ability to run down the field and score, which shows he's just a stud.
In that situation, Hector, when you're 5 yards deep in the end zone, is that a play where as the coach you kind of like go, yeah,
take a knee,
pretty good there, but don't do that next time.
Again, 40 years ago it would be a benchable offense. Now all of a sudden, with highlight reels and everything, kids are doing it because they're doing it at the top levels of the game.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's one of those things too with the fourth down, knock it down. No way, I'm going to intercept it and bring it back. Are you kidding? So knock it down has changed a little bit back, since back in the day a little bit. But yeah, no, all the power to him. Hashtag uncoverable. 220 receiving yards, 3 TDs, an interception return. I mean, God. Big stuff right there.
Oh my! Hector just went 2013 on us with the hashtag.
Yeah,
I feel like I was listening to a Charlie Dare commercial there.
He's catching up.
Yeah, used to be stuck in the 80s. Are you kidding?
So there's a Colby Cyrus, third candidate of the week, a return customer for us that we interviewed him, Josh Ramos. Just a monster game once again, a monster season being put together so far for Andover. Do you want to campaign for him all here to get him over the 5%, Bill?
Boy, Tim, you really pick up on these. Campaigns. Was it D'Souza last year that Tim was not going to stop until he won one of these things a week? Now I guess he's on the Josh Ramos campaign.
I'm on the bandwagon. I like me some BB.
Let's look at it this way, though, Tim. The first week we had a total of 377 votes. Week 2 we had 531 total votes. Already this morning, after posting at 8:30 this morning, we're over 200 votes. So I think at the end of the day, the voters are coming out. They're starting to catch on. They're starting to participate. I think Shane Aylward is definitely deserving this week for me. The kid, both sides of the ball, is just a stud.
That does not bode well for Tim's candidate. I don't think big numbers. We've gone to the political advisors, and they said that a smaller number of votes would have stayed well for Tim's better for Tim's candidate here. So
I mean, he's down in the primary. Okay, we got he's down in the primary. He's got some work to do before the general election ends on Tuesday. So I'll keep working it. All right, Nick Donadio, 104 yards receiving. So Pereira won first week. This game didn't really have a huge monster stat line, but I mean, Donadio's just both sides of the ball and really delivered huge for the Raiders in this game.
Look, it was an emotional win, and he's an emotional player, and sometimes numbers don't always tell. But they needed every bit of all those 104 and the 4 catches out of him, and what he brought to the game for them. So again, this is the non-stat. He doesn't have the 600 homers, but he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame guy. This is it. So interesting vote with Donadio here, and I know Bill will chime in now with his his
whoa
bias from the Methuen region, but heck of a week for him.
Care to respond, Bill?
No, tons of respect for all those Central kids. They're so deep. They're so deep. No, there's some. You got kids like Ciccarelli, Wiggins. They are deep, but Donadio is no joke. That kid has been putting up huge plays, huge numbers for Central for a few years now, and not surprised. And this isn't the last we're going to hear of him. Especially with Mercurio and Hebert going down like that, which is unfortunate. Nate, another Methuen kid who is just a great kid from a great family, and it definitely hurt my heart this morning hearing that Nate was hurt. I don't know JJ very well, but I do know him as far as a football player, and anytime you see a kid like that going down, it's tough to see.
Yeah, we said
where Aylward is consistent. I would say consistent is the one thing that strikes me about him. Donadio is big plays at big times. His timing is everything. Kind of comes up with the big plays at the absolute time his team needs them.
Great point.
So we've got the week 2 winner up on the screen right now. A familiar name, Connor Bryant, 145 passing, 187 yards rushing, 4 TDs. I think he finished with over. Let me see. I think he finished with over 50% of the vote. So the Rangers definitely got out the vote for him. So congratulations to Connor. A yeoman, comparatively, I guess, a yeoman effort from him this week. But listen, vote, okay? Like Bill said, we're off to a really good start in terms of the vote. You can vote on Twitter at MVC Gridiron Week. Voting will continue till late Tuesday night. So you've got Tewksbury, who always seems to get out the vote. You've got Billerica, who has been sneaky in terms of getting out the vote when we've had their players up. Ramos, I guess, I'm not even going to campaign for Ramos. I'm just going to challenge the Andover crowd to get out the vote. I mean, 5% for a guy with these kind of numbers. Come on, guys.
Tim, I pledge this. There may be an internet or a bandwidth issue with Andover. I think there needs to be federal and state funding to help them increase their internet speed.
Tim is starting a grassroots campaign for that now.
Yes, I am. I want an independent investigation.
I'm calling for an investigation. Yep, you nailed it.
Not have a higher bandwidth.
You nailed it. So get out the vote. You've got Aylward, you've got Cyrus, you've got Ramos. And the Raiders always seem to get out the vote. They made a late rush for Pereira for week 1, so we'll see what Donadio does in the vote. So from what I hear, and we don't want to sway the vote, but I heard Aylward's name come up a couple times. That's where you guys are leaning. I'm leaning towards Ramos, and we'll figure it out after the vote, but you guys get out and vote. You're equal part of the vote here. Get out and vote on Twitter, MVC Gridiron Week on Twitter. So punching up the Week 4 schedule here, another Saturday loaded schedule. Methuen and Haverhill, the latest to nail down their time. They'll be playing at 3 p.m. on Saturday. So Friday, guys, Chelmsford at Lowell. Any initial thoughts in that matchup, Hector?
Lowell is hungry, and I think that does not bode well for the Lions.
Billerica at Dracut. Bill, is this a game where the Indians have some momentum and can go in there and do some damage?
49-45, Billerica pulls it out at the end.
Whoa, he's even going numbers. I love it.
That would be called an upset right there, right?
What?
I would call that an upset pick.
I would call that an upset pick, absolutely.
I'm calling the upset.
And honestly, in terms of what these teams can both put up, they can certainly put a 50 spot on the board. So that's good job out of you, Bill Bryant. Saturday's games, I would say, it's kind of A and B here. North Andover at Tewksbury. That for me is kind of your premier game of the week. That's 2 p.m. Hector, what are you thinking there?
Look, North Andover's had like 3 tests in a row here. This is another big one for them. Again, have they stepped up their game a little bit, and have they brought it? Tewksbury is the ultimate proving ground. Saturday afternoon at Tewksbury, an interesting dynamic there all the time on the turf there. SAT Saturday. It's a proving game for North Andover, I think. I think we know what Tewksbury is. We've seen what Tewksbury is. I think we need to see what North Andover is all about here.
Good point on the SAT. Now, how does that play in terms? I mean, are these guys essentially taking the SATs and rushing over to the game?
Yeah, they'll show up later than most of their teammates for the 2:00 games, anyways.
Yeah. Okay. Central Catholic at Andover, Bill. This is kind of Ramos said it in his interview. He's had this game circled. Andover. Everybody has the Central Catholic game circled, but Andover's hungry.
Yeah, no, I think that's the beauty of the MVC. Every week you have multiple matchups. I mean, Dracut Billerica has been a matchup for multiple years. You have Tewksbury and Tewksbury North Andover. That to me is a game of the week. I love the Friday Saturday because you can catch 2 games, but Andover Central is going to be very interesting as far as showing where both teams fit in the MVC.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go to Billerica Dracut Friday night, and then we'll have probably dual coverage. I got to look at our soccer games here, but I would if I had to pick a game to go to, I would probably go North Andover at Tewksbury. So, and then you got Lawrence at Dennis Yarmouth, as Bill mentioned, a weird matchup there in terms of the road trip, and then Methuen at Haverhill, as we mentioned earlier. We'll see what the Hillies can put up. This is a rivalry game, and it was a very emotional scene last year after a tragic accident, and I think the game kind of healed both communities a little bit. Some great sportsmanship out of that, and we'll see what comes out of this game. So that's your lineup for next week. Guys, final thoughts as we put the bow on official week 3 of the MVC. Hector, you first.
Now it matters, right? Everything goes to the league schedule. Now every week matters in a higher regard, not just playoffs, but for the league. And I think this is where it gets really cool.
Bill, final thoughts?
Yeah, no, I love the matchups each week. I think just trying to pick a game of the week has been difficult because you've got 2 or 3 games that are just, wow, this is like a, end of the season playoff game. And the other thing is just the MIAA and listening to, the 12-minute quarters and the 10-minute. I want to stay focused on kids, but some of these decisions and some of the things that are going on and the triple E virus pushing games on Friday and seeing some of these refereeing crews that have been put in a tough spot to change all of these rules and not really have the time to prepare to know what they're doing has been a struggle. It's been kind of a side disappointment to watch some of these people being put in spots where they just don't know the rules because they haven't really had the experience.
Final thoughts from me. Go ahead, Hector.
How can he complain about the refs already? Methuen still hasn't lost yet.
No, I'm talking about the refs being put in a situation by the MIAA.
Well, that's true too.
Without giving them time to prepare. These poor guys. I mean, you learn a set of rules. You've been living by them forever, and now here's a whole book of new rules that just they're not adding up.
Gotcha.
Final thoughts from me. It's just an exciting week. I was excited. I was glad to see some guys get back in gear in terms of Houlihan with Billerica. Andover continues to intrigue me. Methuen, they got to get past Haverhill. The Central Catholic, it looms, and it's gonna. I mean, they're in a different situation this year, Bill, in terms of they got past Tewksbury. They're riding at the top of the league. They're playing as the undefeated knock me off the mountain guy now, but none of it's gonna matter until they can show they can get over Central Catholic.
Oh, and don't forget, you have Andover before that.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't think anyone is circling any games ahead of the next game. But if you do and you overlook Andover, you're going to have a loss before the Central game without question.
No doubt. Hey, great week, gentlemen. All kidding aside, Hector, it's great to have you back. It's great to I miss the hair. I mean, you have amazing hair. So it's we'll grow a little bit each week. We'll get it back to play in shape by the end of the season, but it is good. It's good to see your eyes again. So,
if we survive the ratings hike this week, the ratings drop this week from last week's hike, we'll be okay.
Fair enough.
Hey Tim, thanks for picking up the tab at Al's Diner this morning for breakfast. I appreciate
that. You got it. The blueberry cornbread, always good. Always good. All right, we'll end it there for Bill Bryant, for Hector Longo. It cast, Tom Ryan, Leslie Theodore, Josh Ramos, Kyle Silva, Mark Kassis. Huge thank you to all the video contributors. Keep sending your videos in. You can send it. You direct message us on Twitter at MVC Gridiron Week. You'll see Bill and I get us the video. Get us your video. The more video, the better. And we'll be watching the vote. Get out the vote, and we will see you next Sunday. Watch us all week on demand, everywhere. Twitter at MVC Gridiron Week, Facebook at MVC Gridiron Weekly, on YouTube on the Loop Weekly TV channel, and then we're also posting clips on Instagram now at MVC Gridiron Weekly. So a little bit of everywhere. Plus, hey, one thing I forgot to mention: the podcast is up and running now. So we're on Podbean at the moment. We're waiting for the other approvals from whatchamacallit, from Apple and Spotify and the others, but check the link on Twitter, on Facebook, and you'll be able to get to the podcast. Listen to us while you're walking the dog. All right.
Hey, Tim, check out this great picture of Josh Gordon on Instagram. If you're not following Josh Gordon, you got to follow Josh, and check out this great picture that was just taken of him by a young and upcoming sports photographer, sports guy.
Who would that be?
That's my son. That's my son. He took that picture. He's doing a great job shooting photos for a couple of media outlets. So good for him. He's
80,000, almost 81,000 likes right now on that picture.
Wow,
that's
awesome.
Phenomenal. Look at the beaming pride. Nice, well done, Bill. Well done. Not even Father's Day. That's awesome to see.
Good stuff.
Well, every day is like Daughter's Day, Son's Day. I'm being tagged on Joe.
Yeah. and listen, we love our daughters, but we all got sons, and I want to see Son's Day too. The Daughter's Day was special. It was all over social media, but that's a special thing for you, Hector. That's really cool, and keep liking that photo, and I'm sure we're gonna see more from the young man here.
Young Longo.
All right, guys, great week. We will talk to you next week. Another great week. Thanks for watching MVC Gridiron Weekly, presented by Davila and DeFusco Insurance.
Go Pats.